I think we're pretty much here. I want to welcome everybody. It's nice, the nice weather for a change for our meeting. That's been that nice. Also, we're privileged to have with us tonight Lieutenant Steve Williams. Are you kind of on something like that?
No, I just took that phone call there, so, yeah.
And since we don't get a chance to hear from the lieutenant actually you're on the evening beat, aren't you?
I am. I'm on the evening shift.
On the evening shift, so we, questions for him, and just give us a coverage of what's going on.
Sure, I certainly don't want to steal the show from Animal Services. This looks probably much more interesting, but no, I just introduced myself to the group. Like Mr. Drummond said, I'm the evening shift commander here in the West Station. So I work a 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. shift. There's 3 lieutenants that work out of the West Station. There's a day shift commander, evening shift commander, and midnight. Thank goodness I don't have the midnight hours. But nevertheless, my area, so there's 3 sectors here in the West District. My area is pretty much between Bowen and Cooper from Division North all the way down to I-20. So we border Pantego, DWG, UTA, Arlington High School, Target. So my officers stay relatively busy in that swath of real estate there. But again, just talking to Mr. Drummond a couple weeks ago, I know that y'all meet over here once a month, and I apologize that I haven't been able to get over here sooner and introduce myself. But want to welcome you guys to the West District, our community room, and certainly like to be able to attend more of these meetings when I can, and just answer any questions that may come up for you guys. Something that just happens to be pretty timely here is the chief is going to be presenting the state of the district, basically our annual report for 2018. That's taking place tomorrow at the afternoon city council work session. So it's on schedule for 2:30. Sometimes some of the other stuff that they do runs a little bit over, but by all means, if y'all can tune into that on the government channel, or just check out some of the highlights from what we accomplished in 2018. Of course, he's going to report on the crime for the city as a whole. Now, what's happening in each particular district for us is going to be on the following night. So on this Wednesday at 7 o'clock in this room, we're going to have the state of the district for the West District. And our deputy chief, Carol Riddle, she's going to be presenting on stats and other accomplishments that we've had over here in the West District. Myself and the 2 other lieutenants will be here, so we'll be able to answer any questions regarding crime trends, anything else in your particular area that you may be concerned of. But again, tomorrow, 2:30, tune into the City Council for the Chief's State of the District annual report, and then Wednesday here, 7 p.m., the State of the District for the West District. And yeah, be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. Yes, ma'am.
Do you monitor Dow Worthington Gardens and Pantego calls, and do they monitor those?
So we have access to their radio communications, but no, ma'am, we don't monitor their calls per se. We got enough calls of our own to handle in our time frame. Now, they sometimes monitor ours, and not to say if there's an officer that's stopped somebody in their jurisdiction, if we are driving by, we may stop over and just make sure that they're okay and everything. And likewise, they do the same with us. So we work real well hand in hand with both those departments, as well as UTA.
I had read one point on one of the next door neighbor things that something was happening in East Arlington, and the person that wrote the message was questioning why were so many Pantego police here.
Without the specifics of that particular incident, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if it may have stemmed from an incident that had occurred in their jurisdiction, and then we caught them over in our area, because, as you said, we do have shared radio communications, and furthermore, if something happens in that general area and we want to bolo suspect vehicle information or suspect information, we'll provide that information over to Pantego. Likewise, they'll give that to us. So we're just, bolo means be on the lookout for. And so the officers are now, they've just realized something happened in progress in Pantego. Now we're looking for that suspect vehicle information. That's why it's so important, being a witness to any type of incident, to get real good details, vehicle information, anything identifiable on the suspect to provide to 911 dispatch so they can convey to the officers. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I was wondering, do you share your SWAT team with them?
So they do not have their own SWAT team. If they, and this has actually happened, it actually happened on my watch, where they requested our SWAT team and they have to request mutual aid. Basically, their chief has to call our chief. It's a process where they request our resources and assets from the SWAT team. And if it's something that we agree to go to, which in this particular case, it was a barricaded person, then we send our SWAT team and we basically take over the incident. Yes, ma'am.
So
Absolutely.
they have to pay for it?
Sorry?
The other jurisdiction?
Do they have to, do we send them an invoice for that?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't deal with the fiscal stuff on that. I don't think so. I don't think so. Now, if it turned out to be something very, very involved, as in something, maybe a natural disaster where they were having to use some mutual aid, then we're going to probably be looking at, hey, we're taking a lot of resources. On this particular incident, it was wrapped up in 3 or 4 hours, so I don't think that we sent them a bill. But good question anyways. Yes, sir.
Okay, you said Wednesday, 7, what? The meeting?
The meeting that's going to take place is going to be in this room.
7 o'clock?
7 o'clock, yes, sir.
Wednesday?
This Wednesday night for the districts, for the West District's State of the District annual report. Yes, sir.
I talked to an officer over the phone
Mhm.
about I live in a homeowners association, HOA program. We don't have a gate, but what we are asking the police to advise us is if we put any cameras or anything up, what would they advise? And I talked to, and I forgot his name, he's crime prevention.
Officer Glotfelty?
Yes.
Doug Glotfelty,
Yeah.
I believe he forwarded me your email.
Oh, did he?
Yes, sir, he did.
Okay, because I haven't heard from him, it's been a while, and what we're wanting to do is help you help us.
Sure.
And from what I understand is if we have cameras, you're not permitted to get any information off those cameras unless it's a homeowner and we have his permission. Well, because we're a homeowners association and we give you permission, then would that be admissible?
So that's something that we're looking into further. Certainly, there's a lot of, so his question is in regards to video surveillance cameras that they're looking to install on their lights, basically the lights within their community,
Right.
which y'all control because it's a gated community, even though you said you don't have a gate.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
homeowners association.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of discussion right now on the national front regarding this very question, because what's the first thing that is factored into this situation or question, basically? What do y'all think is the main question that, say, critics of this?
Privacy.
Privacy. Do we want Big Brother, specifically the police department, to have access to the camera system to where we can just go in and monitor it?
Right.
And so I'm all for it. The more cameras, I'm okay with. The more cameras, the better, because I've seen how it can help us solve crimes,
Yeah.
identify suspects, and serve basically serve justice,
Well, see,
essentially.
from what I understand, the law was that you were not permitted to get any information off that unless you had the homeowner that owned the cameras permission to do that. But because we're a homeowners association, we give you all the permission to get whatever information you need off those cameras. Would that be permissible?
Well, so, and in a situation like if a crime occurred, say a burglary happened in a neighborhood.
Right.
We're part of our investigation is canvassing the neighborhood to see if there's any cameras nearby, at the target location or nearby. If that's the case, we're gonna be knocking on the doors of the owners and we'll have to ask them. I mean, we can't just go barge in and take the DVR system. But I think what you're referring to is having live access to this, to where if it's in progress, and that's, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's kind of unprecedented. And that's why we're having to look into this a little bit further to make sure that the privacy concerns are ironed out and that everything is on the up and up as far as a legal standpoint.
Well, because we're the homeowners association, we could give you permission.
I understand that,
Whatever.
I understand
You
that.
have-
I completely understand that. It's still something that's just, it's unprecedented where we would definitely have to have legal look into it and make sure that every homeowner, even though it's under an HOA, but I think we have to go a step further and make sure that every homeowner is okay with us having real-time access to that video footage.
Well, they would have to accept the fact that they would allow us, the homeowners, to put cameras up to
Mhm.
begin with. And with that, so far, we've got everybody's approval to do this.
Sure.
What I'm trying to find out is giving you the information that you may need when you come in, you can immediately get the information off the camera.
Understood. And personally, I like the idea.
I
And it
do.
hasn't fallen on deaf ears, I promise you that. We're looking into it. We will follow up with you. We'll have a conversation on the side there where we can discuss further and I can express some other things. But I know with technology, the Ring, the other camera systems that are available on the market, I know they're working with some departments, some communities, to where they're, maybe having to do an MOU, a memo of understanding, to where we can access their stuff in real time. And so I've actually did an inquiry over to a rep with the Ring, and they sent me an email back. We're gonna try to have a conversation later this week, because I'm interested in it, and I want to explore it further. Again, it is unprecedented as far as real-time,
Yeah.
in-progress type stuff that we're just gonna have to iron out.
That's what we're wanting to do.
Perfect.
Everybody's in agreement, they feel comfortable with that idea. Now, have you heard of the blank cameras?
I've heard of them.
How, are they good at night? What kind of vision do they have at night?
I don't know the actual specs on it. I'd say with the camera systems nowadays, the technology is pretty darn good. If it's going to be something that's offered on the market, then it's probably pretty good, high quality, HD type quality that you're dealing with. But I can't, even as a police officer, I can't recommend one over the other. Ring just happens to be the one that's very commonplace, and they're starting to work with some communities to where I'm going to explore that further. But yeah, all cameras nowadays should have some pretty good night quality vision and HD on it, to where it's going to be sufficient quality for your needs.
Okay, and that officer, Gladfeldy?
Gladfeldy,
Yeah, has he talked to you about anything like that?
specifically about he forwarded me your previous email. He forwarded me your previous email, and so that's what kind of sparked the conversation.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
because I'm waiting his call.
And like I said, we will discuss further, and we're exploring it, but it's not an easy, hey, let's go and do it.
We got a question here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, y'all had a road rage task force a while back, and we had some incidents here in town. Y'all seem to have a pretty effective program that I think did a pretty good job. Is there any sort of update? Have y'all found it possible to disband that unit or not have to be as heavy on that enforcement, or where do we stand on that?
So there's a road rage hotline. I'm not sure if you're referring to a road rage hotline, to where if you witness typical road rage behavior,
Well,
you
there
can
was
report
increased
that.
enforcement is
There is,
what I'm
so
talking about.
so Operation Safe. That's called
Yeah, that's what
Operation
it was.
Safe. It was created to mitigate the number of fatality accidents and collision accidents, for that matter, or collision accidents, but injury accidents on our highway systems. And it is still in effect. Yes, sir. We have, and it's spearheaded by our traffic unit, which involves officers that are dedicated to doing traffic enforcement, the motors officers, the motorcycle officers out there, but we've also folded in a patrol element with that. And so we will dedicate patrol elements from each district to those particular areas, and they're called zones, where there's high accident locations, It started on the freeways, but when we've kind of moved it, Cooper Street happens to be one of them. It's in my particular area. Cooper Street happens to be a high accident location. We've also made some significant arrests from DWIs. And so, yes, sir, we continue to work that, and it has been effective. Mhm.
Would you touch base quickly on the parking situation, a car parked more than 24 hours on the street, or what's an abandoned car on the street? I know you don't do the driveway stuff, that's
Right,
gate
that's,
stuff.
yeah. Code handles it on private property. We do handle it on the public streets. The ordinance was rewritten to where it used to be 48 hours.
Mhm.
Now it is 24 hours. So the maximum parking time on the street for a passenger vehicle is 24 hours. The best way to report that is through the Ask Arlington app. When it goes to the Ask Arlington app, one of our police service assistants, we have police service assistants who are not commissioned police officers. They drive the pickup trucks as police service assistant on the side. They'll respond to those. And from what they do, they can't immediately tow the vehicle. We have to mark the vehicle, and then, the way they mark it is, they'll put a placard on there saying it's in violation of maximum parking time. They'll chop the tire, and then they put it into their own little case management system where they'll come back within 48 hours. If it has not moved within 48 hours, then we have the authority to remove the vehicle. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's for passenger vehicles, maximum parking time. So another question that comes up along these lines is about certain vehicles, and I don't know if you know what the note on certain vehicles. It's is it 21 feet? Do you happen to know the certain vehicles is going to be like a tractor truck, a trailer, oversized vehicles, can't be over 8 feet tall, can't be more than 8 feet wide. Those types of vehicles on the roadway, that's an immediate violation. Doesn't mean we can tow it, but we can enforce the city ordinance reference parking of certain vehicles. I believe it's on a street that's less than 39 feet in width, and we have some leverage on that as well. You had a question over here?
Yeah, my geography might be off, but you were saying what area this covers. We live north of Division,
Okay.
so that would be a different substation, wouldn't it?
No, ma'am. It depends. It depends where you're at. We
The
stop
hill-
at
The Oaks, Interlochen.
Interlochen is the West District. That's this district. Yes, we go all the way over to Filder, north of Division. Yes, so we go as far west as Filder. Yes,
So how
ma'am.
many districts are there?
There are four districts:
Four districts.
north, south, east, and west. And North Station at 620 West Division. That's
So
our.
this one controls west, everything.
Yes, it's kind of, it's not just straight lines. The best way to go and visualize it, I'm a visual person looking at maps, is the arlingtonpd.org, our website. And you can look at the districts, you can put an address in there, and it'll come back with your district, your sector, your beat. It'll tell you who your beat sergeant is. And I'll tell you, if you have any questions about what's going on in your particular area, you want to know you have some questions that need to be answered, go to your beat sergeant. That is the person that has 24/7 accountability for your particular area. Okay? Yeah, I'll share last thing real quick. I'll just share a couple of crime stats with you. I brought those in. So this is kind of what the chief's going to report on tomorrow for the West District. Now, this isn't for this city, but this is for the West District. Overall crime was down. Overall crime for the West District was down 2%. Persons crimes was up 6%. This is for the entire, comparing 2018 to 2017. 6% in persons crimes. The biggest category that attributed to that are assaults, but not aggravated assaults. There's different levels of assault, just depending on what the suspect does, if a weapon was used, aggravated assaults. But we had an increase from the previous year of the lower level assaults, intimidation. Not as concerning, still concerns, but not as concerning as if they were aggravated assaults. Property crime was down 11%, and we had decreases across the board from vehicle burglaries, motor vehicle thefts, robberies, and real good work and decreases in there. Crimes against society. So what are crimes against society? These are your drug offenses, your weapons offenses, your gambling, your prostitution, up 31%. Now, before we like, well, we got a huge increase in weapons and gambling and all that other stuff, I want to preface this with these types of offenses from society crimes are usually the ones that the officers generate on their own, meaning it's an on-view type call versus a dispatch call, i.e. traffic stop. They stop a car on traffic. They smell marijuana from inside the car. We're allowed to go inside the car and search the car without getting a search warrant based on court precedents. They discover dope, drugs inside the car, maybe they even find a weapon, and that's a positive tick as far as what we want our officers to do. As you listen to this tomorrow, they'll listen to Chief Johnson's speech. He's going to talk about our guns, drugs, known offender initiative, and this is money in the bank as far as what the officers have been doing. Telltale signs, a 30% increase in society crimes based on them being in the areas that we're putting them in and the effective quality stops and enforcement that they're making. Any questions on that?
What's a person?
Perfect.
You mentioned person.
Sorry?
In your second statistic, you mentioned person.
It was person's crime.
Yeah, what's a person's crime?
So assaults, kidnapping, even though there was no kidnappings on here, sex offenses, homicide, those are all the major categories under person's offenses. Person on person offense. Now, again, I say we're up, but I preface that with we're up in the minor, the lowest level of assault category.
Thank you.
Okay? Perfect. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Good. I hope to see you guys here on Wednesday night, if y'all can make it. Perfect.
Thank you.
We have our code compliance officer here. Dave, anything you want to report on tonight?
Nothing out of the ordinary, just that we've pretty much started our full inspections now. We're out of full force on that. Pedicabs and NEVs were all inspected except for one group of pedicabs. So they should, the next guy in the lottery should pop up and get him inspected hopefully this week. But other than that, we just running business as usual.
Did you say pool inspection?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, ours is inspected. Windermere?
Oh, okay.
Okay. A reminder, I think everybody was up on it, is that we have the election on May 4th. And we're going to have the new District 4 council person, the District 5 council person, 8, is that right? District 8, which is the at-large position. 4 was one Catherine Wildman is currently in. 5 is Lana Wolf. 8 is
Glaspie.
Michael Glaspie. And of course, the mayor's running for re-election. And with that, we can not endorse a candidate, but we like to endorse candidates who attend our meeting on their own volition. And you can, Andrew, you can introduce yourself, what you're running for, but don't make a speech.
Sure. Andrew Peel, lived here 47 years, helped incorporate We Can in 2003, and I'm running to be the new city council person from District 4 here in West Arlington, where I grew up. This is my dad. He tells me what to do, so if you ever get mad at me or anything, tell him and he'll lay down the
I
law.
forgot, how many people are running in the poll?
There are I have two opponents, Cindy Golden and Teresa, oh my gosh.
Rushing.
Teresa Rushing.
So there are 3 people.
Yes,